Hi, everybody. We're going to be going over the promise game flowchart today. And you'll see on the screen the actual flowchart. You'll notice that it begins with step 1, which is create an aligned goal and promise. Now, what is an aligned goal? An aligned goal is something that you're truly committed to doing. It's something that's on your path, on your purpose in life. It's something that you have a lot of desire and motivation and commitment towards achieving. And the promise you're going to select is an initial promise, which is an outcome or result that you are committing to achieving within the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a good average time period. Now, in step 2, you'll see the buddy relationship. You're going to select a person, find an individual who wants to play the game with you. And that is somebody who has read the instructions, who loves the concept of the promise game, sees the value of it, has a goal of their own that they wish to achieve in life, and they in turn are going to make a promise also. And you're each going to be supporting each other in completing that promise within that time frame. So in step 2, you're establishing communication agreements, and then you move into step 3, which is the begin action. In step 3, you take all the steps that you need to do. You may have a to-do list or an action list or whatever, and you're going to maintain communication with your buddy during this period, giving suggestions, ideas, sharing the challenges you're facing, your wins or successes, etc. And finally, you reach the point of step 4. Now, step 4 is typically going to occur about 2 days before your promise is due. At that point, you're going to press pause for a moment and see, is the promise that you set still doable? Is it going to happen? If you feel certain that it will and you're on track, you move over to the green square, which is step 4A, which says complete the promise and debrief, which then completes the cycle, and as you'll see, the arrow takes you back to the starting point here for the next cycle. Now, in the case where you're not going to complete the promise that you set in the desired time frame, for whatever reason, it may be a bit too big, you may need more time to complete it, whatever the case, you're going to move into step 4B over here, which is where you renegotiate that promise. You renegotiate the promise with your buddy before the actual due date of the promise. It may be a little bit longer time, whatever it is. And then you're going to follow the debrief in the promise game instructions. Extremely important to follow and complete that debrief. Once that happens, you then move back. As you can see, the arrow takes you back to step 1 again, where you start the next cycle of the game. And so this is the flow of the game. Now, in the event that something occurs where a promise is not kept and there's been no renegotiation, that's where we come to step 5, which we call a broken promise. In the case of a broken promise, there is also a very specific set of steps in the debrief that you will want to complete. And once you complete those steps, you're then ready to go back to step 1 again. Now, step 5 is the place where you're going to be noticing problems and patterns and issues that are associated with this particular promise, because usually what happens when you're not communicating and you're not renegotiating, in most cases, there are beliefs, there are problems, there are patterns, there could be any number of different things. And so you want to take this opportunity here in step 5 to notice what those issues are, recommit to communicating with your buddy, and then optionally go down to step 6, where you can actually go into the beliefs and get some coaching and look at the beliefs that have been operating that prevented you, one, from communicating and renegotiating that promise, and of course also what prevented you from keeping the promise. This is another optional step, but an important step that you can play in the game, and once of course complete, then you're able to go back to the beginning and start the next cycle. So you can see from this that the game keeps flowing, it keeps moving you forward. You either get the result that you set out to get, which builds confidence and momentum and energy and excitement and motivation, or you renegotiate a promise, which simply means making adjustments along the way. Life is full of adjustments, and being able to make the adjustment through renegotiation, which is again still a win when you renegotiate and complete the promise, or in those instances where there's a broken promise, you're able to clear out the energy and the emotions of that promise and resume the game again. So that's pretty much the flow chart that I want to present. And if you have any questions at all about the promise game or the flow chart, you can post them in the Breakthrough Coaching forum by logging in and going to the promise game topic and posting a reply in that topic there. And I look forward to hearing from you and working with you with the game.